For the second straight year, the Jacksonville Jaguars hold the number one overall pick, and after taking Trevor Lawrence a year ago, they won't be in the quarterback market this time, but they do need to strike because they were a terrible football team last year. And while, getting Trevor Lawrence some supporting pieces would be nice in the draft, they already did that in free agency, so I'm going to go ahead and go on defense and take Aiden Hutchinson here with the number one overall pick. I think he might be the safest prospect you could take here. The Detroit Lions are one of those teams that really needs every position right now. There's not any position on that roster that's set. And while this pick has a lot of parity to it, a lot of people talking about different places that this could go, I think the pick Travon Walker, the edge from Georgia, is where this is leaning right now, and I think it would be a very good piece for them to get on that defensive side of the ball to try and slow down some of the offenses in the NFC. The Houston Texans hold the number 3 pick in this draft along with the number 13 pick, but here at number 3 they're going to try and get a huge impact player to try and turn around what seems to be like a lengthy rebuild here in Houston. Again, this pick has gone a lot of different directions, but I think right now the Texans should go with Ikem Ekwonu, a tackle out of NC State. I think he's the best offensive line prospect in this class, and overall, it'd be a good anchor going forward. The New York Jets hold the 4th and 10th selection in this year's draft, but we're going to start here at number 4. And a team that already took a quarterback last year, similar to the Jaguars, they're not going to take another one. Instead, they're going to try and get Zach Wilson some weapons, and I think they take Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State here, to try and complement Corey Davis and the rest of that receiving core. They tried to get Tyreek Hill, they struck out. They're going to try and get one here early in the first. Another New York team here, the Giants pick 5th and 7th, so really they could get 2 players they really want up here, only one pick in between. And I think here at number 5 they take Kayvon Thibodeaux, the edge out of Oregon, a guy who could have been the number 1 overall pick coming into the year, fallen down a few people's boards, but I think he's still a very good impact player that the Giants should get if he's here at 5. The Panthers are up at number 6, and while many people will say quarterback here, I don't think that they really like a quarterback well enough to take him here. So I think they take Charles Cross, a tackle out of Mississippi State. Panthers' offensive line was terrible a year ago. They're going to try and shore that up here. The Giants are back on the clock at number 7, and after getting some defensive help with the 5th pick, I think they go offensive line here, a spot that has just been a huge need for the past few years for them. And I think they take Evan Neal, tackle out of Alabama. The Falcons hold the 8th pick here, and it's clear that they're in a complete rebuild at this point. There's really no quarterback worth taking here in my opinion, so I think they take Drake London at receiver because right now they don't have anybody, especially with the Calvin Ridley suspension. I think Drake London is a great option here at number 8 and could be a wide receiver 1 from them immediately. The Seahawks hold the 9th pick in this draft, and while this team can be completely random in the draft, they take some of the most questionable picks. I think if Malik Willis fell to number 9 with the departure of Russell Wilson, that they would have to take a swing on a guy with as much upside as him. Again, the Seahawks are probably the hardest team to forecast for, but I think if Malik Willis is here at 9 like my mock has, he goes to the Seahawks. The Jets are back on the clock at number 10, and after getting an offensive weapon for Zach Wilson with number 4, I think they go defense here and get Jermaine Johnson II out of Florida State, an edge rusher. He is a big-time playmaker there, and I know a lot of people don't have him as high as some of the other edge rushers in this class, but I think he has the potential to be just as good as an Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeaux. The Washington Commanders are on the board at number 11, and I have them taking Derek Stingley, corner out of LSU. This is a guy who, if he could have come out of college his freshman year, no debate would have been a top 5 pick. His freshman year at corner in the SEC was something that really you could only dream about. But his 2 seasons after that just weren't quite as good, so I have him falling a little bit here in the first round. But again, teams look at that first year in the SEC as freshman year and see that potential, and they're going to absolutely take a shot on him. And I think Washington does here at number 11. The Minnesota Vikings pick here at number 12, and I have them taking Amon Sauce Gardner, a corner out of Cincinnati here. One corner's off the board, you're going to see a luxury of them coming off the board for teams that are desperate, and the Vikings are one of those teams. They've missed on recent first-round picks at this position with guys like Mike Hughes and Jeff Gladney, and are definitely going to try and hit one here to try and stop Aaron Rodgers from winning the NFC North yet again. I'm sure there's a good amount of you wondering where is Kyle Hamilton in my mock, and I have him going number 13 here to the Houston Texans. I think he has some weaknesses and some teams really aren't as high on him as some of the outside hype might be, but I still think he could be a very versatile and good safety at the next level. I think the Texans, with having 2 first-round picks, take a chance on him already picking in the top 10.
It's finally time for my favorite corner to come off the board. Trent McDuffie from Washington. I have him going to the Ravens here. Look, they've got talent there at Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, but as we saw last year, the secondary can get thin, injuries can hit, and having too many corners is a good problem to have. So I think you get Trent McDuffie here. It's great value. In my opinion, he's the best corner in the class, and if you get him as the third corner coming off the board, you're getting an absolute steal here. The Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock here at number 15, and I have them taking Devin Lloyd, a linebacker out of Utah. Philadelphia's defense desperately needs to get younger, especially at linebacker, and with having 2 first-round picks, I think Devin Lloyd's the best player available at this point, so I like them to take him at this spot. New Orleans Saints come up to pick at number 16, and my God, does this team need wide receiver help. I mean, the Packers, there's a few that really need it, but they really need it since they don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback like the Packers. Jameis Winston needs help down there in NOLA if they want to have any success this year, so I have them taking Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Really like this guy's body of work. I think he's going to be a dynamic playmaker at the next level. The Chargers pick at number 17, and let me just tell you, if this guy Jordan Davis is actually available in the real draft at 17, I don't think it'll take 5 seconds for them to put the pick in. That's their absolute biggest weakness, is defending the run a year ago. You get Jordan Davis to shore up that inside of that defense. My goodness, this Chargers team is going to be looking real scary. Another Georgia Bulldog defensive tackle comes off the board here as the Philadelphia Eagles take Devontae Wyatt here with their second first-round selection. I think Fletcher Cox is starting to show his age. He's getting a little older, and Philly, like I said earlier, needs to get younger on defense. Why not do that by adding one of the best defensive linemen in the class? The Saints are up to pick yet again here at number 19, and after picking a receiver with their previous pick, I think they go offensive tackle here and take Bernard Raymond, a tackle out of Central Michigan. You lose Teron Armstead in the offseason to the Dolphins. Jameis Winston is coming off a torn ACL. You need to shore up your offensive line, and this guy is the best available at this point. The Pittsburgh Steelers pick here at number 20, and after a long time of having Hall of Fame quarterback Ben Roethlisberger under center, it's a new era in the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. The Mitch Trubisky era. Or is it? I have them taking Kenny Pickett here, quarterback out of Pitt. Makes a lot of sense. I just can't see them relying solely on Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky. I think they take a swing at a first-round guy, and Pickett, in my opinion, is the second best quarterback in the class. The New England Patriots hold pick 21 here, and if they want to make it back to the playoffs and an absolutely stacked AFC, they're going to need some firepower, so I think they take Jameson Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama here. He's coming off a torn ACL in January, but he should be back in time to play this season, and he would be an absolute steal here at number 21. The Packers pick here at 22, and I'm going to do the thing that they never do. I'm going to do the thing that I always get tricked into doing. I'm going to have them taking a receiver in the first round, and in this instance, it's going to be Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. With the absence of Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdes-Scantling, they absolutely have to draft a receiver high in this draft, and I think that Treylon Burks would be a great addition to the Packers. Every single draft, there's one player and there's one team I always link together. A few years ago, it was Colton Miller to the Patriots. And I always mock it from the day mock drafts start all the way up until the NFL draft. And that's the way I'm going to be this year with Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. The Arizona Cardinals absolutely need a center desperately. I don't see why not take him here. I don't see him going any higher, so why not take him here? Every draft, a really good player falls for no reason. Whether it just be teams don't need that position, the fit doesn't work, whatever it may be, they do. And in this draft, I'm predicting that'll be George Karlaftis. I don't know how to say your name, bro. Sorry. But he's an edge out of Purdue. He's an absolutely disruptive playmaker, and I feel like he could even be a top 10 pick. That's how good this guy is. But I feel like just with all the other edge rushers going early and teams not necessarily needing edge that desperately picking after those teams, he falls here to 24 to the Cowboys, who need help after Randy Gregory left this offseason. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock here at 25, and after Tre'Davious White's injury late last season, you could tell the Bills' secondary took a huge hit, so I'm taking corner Andrew Booth Jr. out of Clemson here to try and shore up that secondary, make it less reliant on one guy. And let's face it, the AFC is loaded at quarterback. You can't have enough corners at this point. Shock of the draft. That's what I'm predicting right here. The Tennessee Titans here at 26 take Matt Corral, quarterback out of Ole Miss. Look, the Titans watched that playoff game the same way we did. A very good roster that could have won the AFC last year, but Ryan Tannehill, quarterback, just couldn't get it done. He was a limitation in the playoffs, and that's just who Ryan Tannehill is. They take a huge gamble here at 26, trying to strike gold with Matt Corral to be the future quarterback. The Bucs are up here at 27, and I have them taking guard Zion Johnson here at the pick. I feel like protecting Tom Brady has to be the top priority in this draft, as they already have enough playmakers around him. So why not take an offensive lineman here at 27? The Packers pick here at 28, and with their second first-round pick, I have them taking Nakobe Dean, a linebacker out of Georgia. Look, the Packers have Devondre Campbell, who has shored up a lot of the linebacking problems, but having a second linebacker is very key to a defense. Devondre goes down, things are in trouble, and also Devondre doesn't need to play every snap. Put Nakobe Dean on that field, pair them together, and man, does that Packers defense get even better. With the 29th pick here, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take Boye Mafe, an edge rusher out of Minnesota. I know a lot of people are going to be screaming for wide receiver, but I think edge is actually their biggest need. Frank Clark has not lived up to his contract at all, and Chris Jones is basically a one-man crew on that defensive line. Mafe brings in a much-needed young presence at pass rush. And then at pick number 30, I have the Chiefs taking George Pickens at wide receiver to add another body into that room after losing Tyreek Hill. Pickens was a guy that was projected to go top 10 before last year, suffering a tough injury, but I still think he has tremendous upside and he's a big body receiver like a D-Hop or Julio Jones. The Super Bowl runner-up Cincinnati Bengals have the 31st pick, and I have them taking Tyler Smith, a tackle out of Tulsa. Granted, they have addressed their offensive line in free agency, but it doesn't hurt to take more depth in the draft. Tyler has tremendous upside and can be the right tackle for the future if La'el Collins doesn't work out. With the 32nd and final selection in this mock draft, I have the Lions taking Logan Hall, a defensive tackle out of Houston. They opened this draft up by taking Trayvon Walker to shore up the edge, and they get Hall to shore up the middle. The Detroit Lions defense was absolutely atrocious last year. Adding any help they can get would be beneficial, and I think Logan Hall's worth a first-round pick. I know a lot of people have him graded more towards the second, third round, but I think he could be a late first-round guy, so let's go ahead and throw him in here.